Hey, how are you?
I'm excited. I'm sitting behind almost like a jail cell in my
I
office.
know.
It is
looks
what it
like
is.
that.
I've been
It
in
looks
trouble so many times in this company. I feel like I probably should be right
They
here.
did put you in the jail cell. Oh my goodness, that's an awesome office. Thank you so much for being here in your jail with us today. And why don't you tell everyone that's joining us who you are and tell us what you're passionate about?
Yes. So my name is Rick Larkin. I am a co-owner of a trucking company, BCB Transport. We do trucking, we do warehouse, we do all the brokerage, we do everything. But then we also do another thing, and that's called BCB Live. It's the safest station in the nation. And what our job on that is really, truly is to help with the safety culture, to help make a difference, and really to put this one thing out here, that our job as on the BCB Live, and our job in our industry, truck driver, whether you're in the office, is one thing. That's to get our drivers home safe to their families and to allow others on the road to get home as well. That's my passion at the end of the day.
I love that, Rick. You are exactly right. We need to get them home. It's so important. Do you do your show in the jail cell or do you do it somewhere else?
So we have a huge, and it really is, and I almost did it from here, but we have a real studio. So we have 5 cameras that go in there. We have a producer behind the scene. Our LED wall is 8 foot tall by like 27 foot long. I mean, it's insane.
That sounds insane.
It's fun, but I just believe this. If I'm gonna talk to our drivers, to drivers across America, here's what I do believe is they deserve the absolute best. So I'm gonna bring them the absolute best I have. In return, I'm gonna expect the safest decisions that they can make out there.
I love that, Rick. So what inspires you to want to learn? It sounds like your show is about learning, but what really inspires you to want to learn?
So there's a few answers on that. Here's where I think one thing I've always been good at is being able to learn from my mistakes or the mistakes of others.
Oh, I like that.
I'd also say this. I feel like I want to learn a lot because I feel like I also have a lot to teach. When we began this company, it's like I didn't have anybody to go to. So when there was something, and there's struggles when you're a brand new company. There's struggles with revenue, with payroll.
Exactly. Payroll, Rick. Don't get me started on the payroll.
But Gina, I'm telling you, I felt like I was alone. I didn't have anybody to talk to. And I don't want anybody to ever go through what I had to go through. It's painful. It's hard on the marriage. It's hard on the body. And you know what? We as people that have kind of gone through, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 years of business, hey, let's bring some of these folks in here and be a mentor to them. So what have I learned? I love to learn about everything so I can at least help maybe somebody that's going through what I had to go through alone.
I love that. One of the things that you mentioned there was being a mentor for learning. I think a lot of times, that's something that other drivers or other employees need to look to themselves of how they can mentor and help other people. Because if you can inspire someone, that really can help inspire yourself, doesn't it?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. It's there's something exciting too that I get. I think a lot of us people get that when somebody else is successful. To me, that is the greatest accomplishment. When I'm telling to people, or if you're helping somebody else and you expect something in return, I just think you're doing it for the wrong reason. Hey, just take care of just love people. Just take care of people.
Oh, I love that. Just love people, Rick.
To work out.
Yes, I agree with you. That's amazing. So what do you think if you were to pick, because you're a person that loves learning, if you were to pick one thing that you think would most engage someone in a learning experience, what would that be? How would you get the person that doesn't love learning to engage in learning? What would you do?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I just think the answer is you have to get them involved. People learn different ways. One of the things we're doing here on the BCB Live side is we're reaching out to the high schools because as we produce these shows, I want them in there to be producers. I want them to go in there and touch the edit so they can see what all of this thing is that they're doing and watching. I think to me, so many people, they hear things, they listen to things, and it doesn't make sense. But I think once you apply that, right?
Got
You
it.
apply your life, you apply some of these things that I'm teaching you into a real life setting, and you
Uh-huh.
see the results. You see that
Yes.
what you did worked or
Mhm.
it didn't work. It looked awesome or it looked bad. That it allows you that opportunity to improve upon yourself. I think that learning, sitting down and doing the work
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
looking at yourself, at what you produce, grade
Mhm.
yourself. I think that's pretty powerful as well.
Mhm. Do you have any examples? That's interesting. So you bring in people who are in high school into these learning experience. Do you have an example? Now this is off the cuff, so this
I'm good.
question, all
I'm good.
right, you ready for it? So do you have an example of high school students working together? Learner to learner engagement is what you're talking about. That creates this powerful situation of retention of knowledge. Can you think of an example of that to share?
I probably have 4 examples, and I'll start with
Okay.
Bryce. So Bryce George is our
Uh-huh.
marketing director. Bryce was an
Uh-huh.
intern from college. She came to the
Wow.
place in here, and she
Mhm.
had hands-on experience. What she
Mhm.
did at the age of 20 and 21, most people at
Mhm.
the age of 28, 29, 30, 35 weren't doing. Everything she did made a difference, to the positive or the negative. We then brought
Okay.
in another one, Alyssa Murray. She came in
Mhm.
out of college as well, intern. She's still going to college today. She does
Mhm.
all of our editing. She does everything.
Wow.
She gets to do hands-on
Mhm.
work right now that's made
Mhm.
her she's going to be crazy valuable when she graduates.
Yes, you better grab onto her, Rick. Don't let her go.
No, and then we
Keep
have
her.
Kayla that does
Uh-huh.
our producing today. Didn't have a background on it. She came
Uh-huh.
through, and here she is, the
Oh,
same thing,
wow.
hands on. Just, you
Uh-huh.
know what? Here's what it is. I just think that it's that
Mhm.
personality. It's that
Mhm.
desire to work and make a difference. I think you see that in somebody.
Mhm.
They step in and you give them the ability to do hands-on work. I think we
Mhm.
see some amazing success stories coming from them. I think you always make room for a good person in your operation. You always make room for that person that has a drive, because
I
those people
agree.
are hard to find.
I agree. Having a drive. So it kind of makes me think about this idea of what do you do? Have you ever like helped somebody who hasn't had a drive, or maybe had a learning hurdle, or maybe they thought that they just didn't have the passion to learn? Is there any examples, or maybe you yourself, there was a time you had an obstacle that you had to overcome for learning? Is there anything like that that you can think of?
No, I think about, I really do. I think about my kids right now when I think about
Mhm.
that, because they
Oh.
all learn in a different manner. We
Mhm.
have one, that graduated, one that went to school, and she said, you know what, it's just not for me.
Mhm.
I think, for me, it was, it's recognizing and being a mentor. Sometimes that means you have to tell somebody that, hey, this just isn't for you.
Got
Maybe
it.
it's what you need. And I think we've had examples of that with people
Mhm.
that they just couldn't figure it out. And sometimes you've got to let them know.
Got it.
You also have to let them know what they can do better, what they need to improve on. And then you just
Mhm.
hopefully they take that to the next place and they become that star that they can be. Uh,
Mhm.
but I do think sometimes some people, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
refuse to open up and learn your way, or I'll say this.
Mhm.
I actually believe that we have more
Mhm.
success with teaching and getting people to learn differently that haven't
Mhm.
been in the industry for a long time. I feel like
Oh,
it's
that's
been a long
interesting.
time. You always
Mhm.
hear that's not how we did it over here, and it's just like,
Mhm.
come on, there's
Right.
more than one way to do something.
I think, Rick, one thing that's really interesting is the concept of really showing someone that you care about them in their learning specific styles, and that you tell them it's okay if this isn't for you, but you have to find your passion somewhere. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that we have to continually reinforce is, where do people find their passion? Have you ever worked with anyone where you've been able to spark that passion in someone, and maybe what did that look like? Is there like somebody that doesn't, they say, this isn't for me, like how do you spark that passion? You're so passionate. How do you give your passion to somebody else like that in that learning situation?
I'll tell you. So
Mhm.
I'll just use this one thing. A lot of people talk about safety. What a boring subject that is. And,
Oh.
and that's what you hear. Yet here
Yeah.
is that we have 85% of our drivers will watch our show live.
85%?
85% will
Wow.
watch.
Got it.
Because all of a sudden, how you portray that safety, about protecting their life, about following too close, items that are conceived as boring, like who would want to do a show on safety? They watch it, they love it, they bring it in, they soak it in, and the results are, we see the results in our safety. I mean,
that's amazing.
To me, that's the biggest one right there. Taking a subject that's hard as safety and making it exciting, yet we have found a way to do that on BCB Live with these. And I'm going to tell you, it works. It's amazing when you talk to your people, what happens when you send out messages, it doesn't read the same thing as when I'm talking to you as a driver, telling you that I love you, I need you back home, telling you
exactly
you're close. And when you tell somebody that, it means a lot more than when you write it on an email or type it on a note or something like that.
Exactly. You gave me goosebumps because it's all about building that human connection, Rick. That's what you're doing at BCB Live and with your drivers. You truly, it's coming from an authentic place. You care about them. You want them to come home alive. Sure. And this is why they're safety struck, right? Because absolutely they're safety struck. All right, Rick, here we go. I want you to tell me about a time that you learned something that left an impact as you as a person, as Rick Larkin. Talk about some time and period in your life. You can think back, I don't know, elementary school, whatever. When did somebody have an impact that really, really changed your thinking and made you who you are today?
And so there was our salesman, our executive vice president of sales, Ed Eldridge. He was
Ed.
We hired Ed. Ed was probably 70 years old, 71 years old. Ed had retired, was way overqualified to ever come work for us at this company. Ed had asked, said, "Hey, Rick, I want to come work with you and Brian. I want to be part of your team." And finally, I called Ed up and I said, "Ed, look, I can't afford you. You are like the king of transportation.
That's what I'm dealing with. We got to find people." Yes.
And Ed said, he goes, "Rick, don't worry about it. We will figure that part out later."
I like that.
And let me tell you, his belief in me, his belief in Brian, into this company, to willing to come in and kind of start over as a seasoned person. He's been that ear for me, somebody who's made the mistakes that I didn't have to make. And I'm just talking in life in its own place. Ed has kind of came in there and was a mentor to both Brian and myself. But for me, it meant a lot to me. And it gave me a lot of confidence that said, here's a person that I have no business on. He has no business working here. He's way too good for me. He called us about 8 times. And finally, I told him, I was finally just embarrassed. I said, "I can't afford you, Ed." And he goes, "Rick," he goes, "don't worry about that. We'll figure that out." And he started that next morning. And just like that, he brought in customers left and right.
Wow. Can you lease him out to me? Can he come and lease him out to me, please? Oh, he sounds amazing. That's great. I love that he had an impact on you and was a mentor. That's amazing. So good. Great.
So I do think he's helped me and will always help me to make sure that I kind of pay it forward on that side.
Oh, good. Hey, Rick, what about authentic learning? Everything we're talking about is kind of culminating in this authentic learning. I am all about, my doctoral research was on defining what authentic learning means. So Rick Larkin, in Rick Larkin's words, tell us what authentic learning looks to Rick.
To me, it's this, as simple as this. I'll give you Kayla Ayers. Kayla came into our company here. She sat down as a producer, didn't know anything about it, but yet she was hands-on in an event. To me, that's what authentic learning is. It's being able to touch something, move that joystick, move the puzzles around, and seeing that you're making an impact or you're not. I feel like it's almost hands-on learning to me. That's what authentic is. It's real. It's tangible. It's right here. And I feel like, to me, that's what it is. It's having a seat, doing something that you can see you made a difference on. And guess what? If you can see how it affects others positively or in a negative way, to me, you've learned a lot. So I don't know if that's what it means.
That's great. Well, that's going to be my tip this week. Tip number 2 is going to be hands-on. So watch for it, everyone. We're going to put that out there, as Rick Larkin says. All right, here's the last thing we're going to talk about today, Rick. If there's somebody out there listening live or they're going to watch it later that's feeling like they just don't have the
Mm.
spark to learn anymore. I want you to talk to them and tell them what it means and get them on the right path. So let's leave us with these final words, Rick, of give them the spark to learn.
Yeah, so don't be afraid to make a mistake. That's all I want you to do. Don't be afraid to learn off your mistakes and learn off the mistakes of others. You make a difference in what you do, and you've got to believe in yourself that you are going after whatever that is you're doing right now. You're going after something to make a positive impact. Look at the numbers, look at the data, follow I always say follow the data. It tells you what's going on.
Yeah.
But understand that you as a person today, you have the ability to make a difference in the lives of somebody else. Take that challenge on. It doesn't have to be work. It can be opening up a door. It can be buying somebody. It can be smiling at somebody. Hey, this world's hard enough. Let's be nice and love one another. That part's just not that hard. Make a difference in the life of somebody else. I think that creates a little bit of self-confidence on yourself anyway.
I love that, Rick. Thank you for being with us today on my podcast. We'll leave you with that. Everyone, go out and love someone else. Be kind. And until next week, we will see you. Thank you so much, Rick.
You have a great